Sports Talk with PlayerAgent3. My next guest, man, is my opinion, man, one of the toughest guards to play in the NBA. He was Patrick Beverley with a better offensive game before Patrick Beverley, Mr. Chris Childs. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, appreciate that, man. That big up, man. I'm good, man. I'm good. Just, recovering from a crazy month, man. Crazy month, just traveling, trying to get things in order with these kids. I train kids, mentor kids. So, when you're dealing with stuff like that, you get one or two that, stray away and, do other this, you know what I mean? So I had to reel him back in.
Okay.
But all in all, man, I'm good, man. Blessed.
What about, how is the family doing with all this madness that's going on, man, with the COVID-19 and just a lot of stuff going on in the world, man? How you and the guys holding up?
Yeah, man, it's been an adjustment. Two of my oldest kids caught the virus.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. My oldest son and my oldest daughter. My son, they're all in good shape. They're still young, 32 and 29. But my daughter, she had it bad, man. It was all in the bones and the joints and stuff. So she was in a little bit of pain, but everybody recovered. A lot of input that I got from some of the doctors at Lenox Hospital. I want to give them a shout out. Lenox Hospital in New York, they do an unbelievable job in the cardiology department. I always call on them for advice or whatnot that I can pass on to my children. But I think everybody in the world, man, is still in shock because you got people still out there moving around daily like it's nothing going on.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And just as individuals, you can't fall into that trap, man. You got to stay safe, wear your mask, even though it's uncomfortable. Shit, the Chinese been doing it for years, and we looked at them like they crazy, but they knew what was going on. Yeah. Right. So we just gotta, deal with it right now, and hopefully, it changes, and it might change once President Cheeto is out of office.
Yeah, well, I think, like I told you, man, I had mentioned something to you about, giving you your roses while you were still here, man. And it's the same thing that I spoke to Kenny Anderson about and a lot of other professional athletes. And I really think your story is really important, especially for young kids that are looking to make it on a professional level in terms of adversity, because you went through a lot, to get to where you made it to. So I definitely think it's important, to get your story out. How was it for you growing up in Bakersfield, California?
Man, I'm not one of those guys that try to tell these stories of I was doing this, I was doing that. I was all about sports, man. I was focused. Did I get in trouble and try to hang out and do different stuff that I thought was, the thing to do? Yeah, of course. But I was all about, bettering myself, bettering our family situation, even though I had both parents. We didn't have a lot, but we didn't suffer for anything, you know what I mean? And, having, 6 siblings, 3 boys, 3 girls, everything was hand-me-downs and, getting big jeans too big for you, had to roll them up. And then when you grew, you rolled them down, had the white line in your jeans. Everybody, lived that life, coming from the hood.
Right.
But I was focused, bro. I was a better baseball player than basketball. Baseball was my thing. But, growing up with an older brother who was better than me, went to Oregon State, and he was like the best player in our city, the city that I grew up in. That was a challenge because everybody was going around saying, you're not better than your brother, but I play baseball. You know what I mean? I played basketball. I said, okay, well, let me show y'all what I can really do. You know what I mean? So I just stuck to that basketball, man, stayed out of trouble, You know, I used to, dribble to school 4 miles every day, 4 miles back. You know, I was running the hills and the deserts and different stuff, man, because I knew that, I wasn't the highest jumper. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest. But one thing I did know, that nobody's going to outwork me. I don't care who you are, what's your name, what's your number, how many points you done scored. That doesn't matter to me, because you're a man at the end of the day. And sometimes when you look another man in his eye, you can tell if he about that or if he's about that. And that's how I live my life.
And you can tell it. You can definitely tell it. We'll get into that more in a little bit. But Boise State, man. I mean, how did you end up at Boise State?
Hey, man, look, that's a story within itself. I'm gonna give you the short version. But what happened, when I came out of high school, I was highly recruited. Pac-10 schools. Back in the day, this is when SMU was really good. UNLV, Reno, Wash, a lot of different schools. But what happened, I grew up, my dad was in politics. You know what I'm saying? He worked at the hospital, but he was a city councilman, but he had a lot of people that would come through the town on the way to LA, Reverend Jesse Jackson, I forget the mayor in Atlanta, can't remember his name, Julian Bond. All these cats used to come through the town, Bakersfield, on the way to LA and call my dad. You know what I'm saying? It's, talk to him about politics. And so I saw all of that. And so when it came time to, pick a school, my junior year, school's recruiting, and then they said, well, you got to take the ACT and SAT test. And once I've read over the test, I looked at it and said, man, this is biased towards minorities.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in the hood, we don't know a lot of these questions that you're asking and getting the answers. So I protested. I got a group of students and we protested. And so by me doing that, just like in today's climate, when you protest, they want you to be the black man that don't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? You just stay in your place. And so they put out there that I was militant, and I wasn't militant, but I was pro-black. I'm looking out for my people. I can't look out for your people because I don't know how your people live. I know what my people go through. So a lot of the schools just left. No call. I went from having 120 letters to having 2 because of that. And so finally my dad said, you know what, go ahead and just bust the test open and watch all the schools come back. And so I went on and took it, blew it out the waters, and then all the schools came back. And me being who I am, I'm like, bump y'all. I don't want to deal with y'all. And so I went to I was going to SMU. They got the death penalty. This ain't no story that I'm putting out there about the school, but they had the death penalty. John Koncak got into something or whatever. And so I'm scrambling to find a team. And so I remember UNLV was still there with Tark, but they said Greg Anthony's going to start. And I'm like, Greg Anthony? I played at Boise. Greg Anthony was at Portland. So I was at Boise State. I gave him the business. I'm like, Greg, I said, okay, cool. I'm not going to UNLV. And so Boise State came in, and all I asked them was, do I have a fair shot at starting? They said, well, we got a senior coming back. I said, I didn't ask you that. I said, do I have a chance? Give me a fair shot at starting. I ain't worried about who you got right now because I'm coming to get that spot. And so when he told me, yeah, I went there and I walked up to the dude, the senior, and told him, you're going to be a good player for us coming off the bench because I'm coming for your spot. And, that's how I ended up at Boise State.
Okay. Well, it's obvious when you got to Boise State, you put in that work. You definitely earned your stripes. But 1989, you didn't get drafted in the NBA, but you got an opportunity in the CBA, and a lot of these young cats don't know nothing about the CBA. It was a whole different story than the G League, what the G League is today. Talk about that transition, man, of having to go to the CBA instead of getting that NBA opportunity initially.
It was It was rough, hardest time of my life, because I go from being in Sports Illustrated as best guard in the West, and this is with Gary Payton and all these guys there. Then I knew Rod Strickland. Me and him been tight for years when he was with the Gauchos. And we go to the pre-draft camp, and me and Rod having dinner, talking, and what we about to do, and you know, all of this stuff, man. And then not getting drafted, you know, Dana Barrows and all these cats coming out that I know that I compete against. We all talking about what we're gonna do in the league, and then me not making it, man. I almost gave up. I'm gonna be honest with you, I almost gave up. But my pops, rest in peace, he said, check this out. He said, if you quit now, you go quit for the rest of your life. He said, I don't raise quitters. That's not what we do. Because if you do that now, you go do it every step of your life when it gets hard. He said, just take this as a challenge. And so as I go get drafted in the CBA, before I get drafted, I get a t-shirt and I write everybody's name that got drafted before me. And I put a check every time I played against that guy. If I didn't dominate him, I wouldn't put a check, but if I dominated, I'd put a check on him. And so I wore that t-shirt for a whole year. Why I take it back, I wore it every year in the CBA, in practice and in games. And the trainer used to like, man, you gotta throw this away. I said, man, you throw it away, I'll kill you dead. Because that was my motivation to continue to battle, continue to have faith that God has a better purpose for me, and continue to not give in to temptations of people saying that you can't. Mm-hmm. And that's what the draft, the general managers, all these experts were saying, that I wasn't good enough. But I took it as I got older, my third year, my fourth year, I finally realized that now I know why I didn't make it. It wasn't because I wasn't talented enough. As a point guard, you have to be able to run a ball club. You have to earn respect with your teammates. And I was out there just for me, but I had to be out there for the whole team. Not just the four on the floor, but the guys on the bench, the trainers. You know what I mean? I had to be the leader. And so it wasn't until after the fourth year, I finally figured it out that I had to be that type of player. And then once, you know, because I was always in shape, I could always play, but I wasn't able to lead. And so once I learned that, then that's when I got my shot.
What did you take from that whole experience? Because I know you had some trials and tribulations through that CBA time. What did you take from that when you first got that opportunity with the New Jersey Nets?
Just not to take things for granted, not to take, every day for granted. Be thankful that you're able to wake up, you know what I'm saying, and breathe the air that God, has out there for us, and open your eyes, or use soap, take a shower. Mm-hmm. I mean, all these things, we got people that we take life for granted, man. These young men and women getting murdered. I mean, I don't say murder, I say assassinated. We're getting assassinated every day. So I was like, man, I'm grateful. I'm lucky, even though I was in the CBA. It was rough, but I'm still able to play basketball and get a little bit of change to play basketball. Mm-hmm. I'm not at the local gym or the rec or the park or in prison or doing some dumb shit. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful and humbled that I was still able to play ball in the CBA and against some major talent. Not no, BS. It was boys out there that can get it. Mm-hmm. So you had to step up. And so when I finally got to New Jersey, all I thought about was, and even though you call him Kenny Anderson, that's Chibs, man. Chibs, yeah. That's Chibs. That's my boy, man. Even though he was in front of me, I love him to death. I say, Kenny, if you ain't ready to practice, don't guard me. You know what I mean? Because you made it. I still have something to prove. Right. I think that's what Willis Reed, when I got the jersey, Butch Beard, who was the coach, with Stan Albeck and Paul Silas and Jerry Eves, all those guys saw in me that I was still hungry, man. And then the thing that kept me going because Willis only gave me a partial guarantee, and back then it was $75,000. And I'm like, a partial? I said, okay. I was like, Kenny, Chips, sorry, bro. I gotta come for you, man. But yeah, that's my man, and we had an unbelievable team that year, man. And I wish we'd have did better.
Yeah, so and I'm sure, man, when you got to that level, when you got to the Nets, that you had a list of dudes that you was like, you know what, I am not gonna mess up this opportunity.
I had the names on the shirt, and it was anybody in front of me. David Wesley. It started off with him. He was the backup, and I looked. I was like, "Are you serious?" And nothing against David. David was a good player, but I was on another mission, another level at the time, because when I got the jersey, I was benching 315, 325. I was squatting 5 1/4. It didn't look it, but I was just hungry and strong, and then my defense was, top notch. It wasn't you had to learn. I had NBA caliber defense, and so when we in practice with Dave, I wouldn't let him get the ball across half court. I was just that hungry. Mm-hmm. And Kenny Chips would come in the locker room before practice. He's like, "Hey man, check this out. I had a long one last night, man, so chill out." I'm like, "Man, you talking to the wrong cat, homie. You better go talk to somebody else, because I'm coming for your neck."
Kenny had got his. He had got his. I'm sure he had got his money at the time. You was on the prowl, and you actually had some pretty good numbers that year with the New Jersey Nets. I think it was about 13 points a game.
Yeah.
A couple of assists. But then
I averaged not the first year there, but the second year when I started, I almost averaged 10 assists a game. It was like 13 and 9.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It should have been more like 19 and 12, but it's all good.
So how did you get across the Hudson River, man? Because that's when the magic started. When you went across that Hudson River, man, and put on that Knicks blue, man, and that orange, man. How did that happen?
Yeah, man. I have to give a lot of credit to Derek Harper. Derek, when I was, making my way through the CBA and trying out for different teams, I tried out for the Mavericks. And while I was in the CBA doing the, workouts or tryouts, I tried out for the Mavericks. And Steve Alford was the guard coming out the draft. And so I told Derek, I said, man, I know you've been in the league a while or whatever, but how do they draft a guy like this that can't dribble the ball past half court on me? And he said, man, it's the number game. It's the numbers. You know what I mean? He's a high draft pick. You haven't been drafted. He said, man, just keep working. And when you come to practice, you come early. I'm going to stay with you and I'm going to help you. And he showed me how to play defense with your hands and controlling people and whatnot. So I say that to say, when I got the jersey and then New Jersey, and then we played the Knicks, Derek, man, I had a, what's Derek's name? Harper. Harper, I'm thinking. Yeah, Derek Harper. And so we played him one game, and a trick that he showed me, I used against him and stole the ball and hit the winning basket. And it was crazy. He came up to me after the game. He said, God dog, man. He said, you've learned quick. I said, man, you showed me. I appreciate you. And then that summer, I was a free agent because John Calipari came in and they fired Butch Beard and gave John Calipari the job. And so at the end of the season, you have your meetings. And so he's a, fresh out of college coach, whatever. He come in, hair slicked back, all cocky. But at that time, I think I'm 27. So I come in, I had a great year. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get these 6 years and I'm gonna be good. And so he talking to me, he's like, well, we're not gonna give you 6, we'll give you 4 years. I'm looking at this dude like, hey man, I just spent 5 years in the CBA. 1 year here, third string, end up taking 2 guys' spots as starter, almost average a double-double the next year. You talking about 4 years? Well, we don't know if you're going to be that same player. We thinking about bringing in Robert Pack. I love Robert. I know him. That's my boy. I'm like, well, then bring in Robert Pack. Go ahead. So Willis Reed, I called Willis. I said, how many years y'all gonna give me? He said 6. I said, I'm on the first thing smoking.
There was history.
It was history after that. And then every time we play New Jersey, I try to give them the business.
I can imagine, man. So you got to tell me about that experience, man. You talking about the New York Knicks, man. You talking about Charles Oakley, Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, not just those guys, man, but Madison Square Garden, Spike Lee, just that whole aura, man. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Well, coming from the West Coast, I was always a Magic Johnson fan. I wasn't really a Laker fan. I was a Philadelphia 76er fan. But I was a Clyde Frazier fan, how he played the game, and seeing how Willis came out the tunnel, how they won the championship, and seeing the fans and just the energy of New York, that was like a dream come true. And so when I got the call and we went into the Garden, it took me a good, I would say, an hour. After everything was done, they left. I stayed in there. They were sweeping, and I was still in there. When I can't remember the security guard's name offhand, but if he's watched, he knows this story. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just looking in the rafters. I'm looking at the bench, the sideline where all the stars sit. And I looked at where our bench was, and I said, man, my name is going to be called as the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. It don't get no better than that. And I said, I promise, every time I step on this court, I'm going to give it my all. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna sell nobody short for the tickets they pay for, the little kids that come to the game, the ushers, the popcorn people, the concessions. They go get their money's worth because I'm coming with it. And then coming there in with Allen and LG at the time, that we're the new guns, you know what I mean? And then you had John still there, who I knew starts back when he was in Tulsa. I already knew me and Oak was gonna hit it off. We hit it off from day one because he saw how much work I put in the weight room, on the court. He was like, all right, man, you just take care of the guards. I got all the big guys. I was like, ain't no problem. You know, we can't beat them in the court. We gonna beat them up. Yeah. And so I already knew we was gonna click. And then Charlie Ward was so funny, man. That's my boy. Because his locker and Allen's locker was next to mine, right? And Charlie's so funny, man. He used to bring literature, you know, for the gospel, the word, whatever. I'm all about the word, whatever. But some days I'm like, hey, Charlie, man, give me a break, bro. You know. And he was like, Chris, I ain't giving you nothing because you gonna you gonna listen. But that's how close we were, man. Yeah. Yeah. We would, and then, you know what I mean? And then when it was heartbreaking when John got traded. Mm-hmm. That was heartbreaking, man, because that was one of my road dogs. We played golf together. We chopped it up a lot, went out to dinner a lot. And so that was hard for me to see. And then that also taught me about the business. That taught me about the business, that I don't care who you are, nobody's safe if they're able to get money or something in return that's going to benefit them later, whether it's draft picks, money, rights to other players. So I knew that, and I knew that what they were trying to do, they were trying to get younger. They didn't get much younger, maybe a couple years difference between Spree and John, but I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to get more athletic because they brought in Camby. That kind of pushed Patrick minutes down, they were trying to restrict his minutes. and that moved LJ to play more of a 3 than a power forward, because we knew if we were able to get there that we would have to play against the teams out in the West, which they had big power forwards, Tim Duncans and Sean Kemps and all those types. So they had big athletic forwards. So I knew what they were trying to do, but it still didn't make it less appetizing, because they got rid of John and Oak, who were the 2 closest guys to me on the team.
Mm-hmm. Now you earned your stripes, man, as a Knick. You guys, the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it was '99. But you guys played the Spurs in the finals, right?
Right.
That was the lockout. That was a shortened season.
Right.
But you were a tough, hard-nosed guard, man. Do you think that comes from just Charles Oakley and just all your teammates, man, just being taking on that New York City persona?
No, not necessarily. I think it comes from within. That comes from me playing in the backyard, vacant lots. Bakersfield is a lot of dirt fields and cement courts and whatnot. So that came from growing up on the 805 in Bakersfield, California, playing against older guys. I don't think a lot of players this is what happened. A lot of players that come to New York, you can't just come there and all of a sudden be tough. You got to have some toughness about you, or they wouldn't come out there and recruit you. So I don't think that you get there and automatically fall into playing the game, tough and no layups and hard fouls. Yeah, that's the game of basketball back then. No easy layups. But the key was that as players, we policed ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need Jeff to tell us to take a charge or to not help nobody up, or no easy layups, or if something happens to your teammate, you back him up. Nah, that's just who we were. And it just happened that each player that's ever came there, of course, when Rob Strickland was there, he wasn't, a guy that's gonna get in your face and push you, whatever, but he's gonna beat you with his skill, because he's the most underrated. He's the most underrated guard to ever play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though that's my friend, I'm giving you the real truth.
Yeah.
Him and Terrell Brandon, 2 of the coldest guards that I've ever seen. So that's another story. We gonna have to do another show about the most underrated guards, because them 2 problems. But that was just me, man, because I had to fight for everything.
Yeah.
Nothing came easy for me. I went to Boise State, man. I used to get called the N-word, throwing potatoes at, and I fought. You know what I mean? I didn't fight. I can say this now because there's no statute of limitation in fighting. Mm-hmm. But I fought. I had about 50 fights in college, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because being there and being different, they call you the N-word, and I didn't play that. I'm not gonna call you out your name or disrespect you, so don't do that to me.
That's why I think, man, when you hear players today, man, they talk about the Patrick Beverleys, the Tony Allens. I mean, no disrespect to those guys, because those guys were, those guys were tough guards, man. But if you need to do your history lesson, man, and look up a Chris Child and see and watch this cat and how he did it with the Knicks, back in his day. So it didn't start with Patrick Beverley or Tony Allen. You got to go back into the 90s, where there was the hand checking, the trash talking, the pulling on jerseys, the punching.
Right. No, big up to Patrick Beverley. I like what he does, but Tony Allen was a problem. I love this game. And he had nice hands. Mm-hmm. He was nice with Hayward Workman.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Hayward Workman was a problem. Ended up being a referee when Hayward Workman played hard. There's a cat that never made it named Perry McDonald that went to Georgetown, was a problem. There's a lot of different guys that Alvin Robinson, all these cats, great defensive players, Sidney Moncrief. I mean, the game has evolved, but I don't think that the players that came before us get enough credit. And I don't hate on nobody. Man, these brothers, get your money. Get as much as you can, because when you're done, now you got to make sure you save and make sure you keep your nose clean. So if you need anything during, the time that, you want a job, whatever, then they go come get you and say, okay, he's a good dude. We want him with our team. But we need to get, go back in history, man. It's some brothers, man, that Maurice Cheeks defensively was a problem. And that was one of my coaches in the CBA. So I can go on and on and on, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I appreciate you, speaking highly of me, how I played the game, because I teach and mentor young kids now on how to play and how to live life. So when they watch this, then they'll understand that coach ain't just talking. Coach was about that business.
Exactly. But I got to ask you this, man. And I think you were a part of the Knicks when this happened, man. I think Reggie Miller hit like 8 points and what was it, like 8 seconds?
I wasn't there. No, I wasn't there. Okay. That wouldn't have happened. That was on Greg Anthony's watch. I wasn't there. I came the year after.
Okay, well, I gotta ask you, man, about the battles with the Black Cat, man. What was that like, man? Because I'm gonna be. This is just me, my opinion, man. I think people today forget how good Michael Jordan was when they're trying to make these LeBron James comparisons, and I love LeBron James.
Right.
But what are your thoughts on those, just the battles with the Bulls?
All right, let me first start this off this way. There's always going to be debates in different eras of who's the best and this and that. They've done it when it was, back in the day, but the best player that ever played this game is Michael Jordan. The best winner that ever played this game is Bill Russell. Mm-hmm. The most exciting player to ever play this game is Michael Jordan. All right? Mm-hmm. So, by me saying that, nothing against LeBron. LeBron, what he's doing right now is unbelievable. But Michael Jordan won 2 3-peats. 3 in a row, retired, 3 in a row. If he wouldn't have retired, he might have won 9 straight NBA championships. Now, let's ponder that. 2 separate 3-peats. All right? 1 team. I'm not a believer in, I want to beat the best. I'm not a believer going to join. Now, what he did with the Lakers, LeBron, awesome.
Yeah.
But going to Miami and going back to Cleveland, awesome. Respect that. The Miami thing, I did. But he's great. Now, let's get back, but Michael's the best. Let's get on this dude, number 23. I'm glad that I was 25 when I played him, because if I was 19, it would have been a whole different story, because I would have been too caught up in who he is.
Right.
All right. So when I got there in Jersey, that's when the problem started between him and I, because I was 26 and it was my second year in the league, and I don't think he knew that. And so when he was doing all this roughhousing and trying to play a little dirty here and there, bro, you barking up the wrong tree. I'm not any of these cats you grab them in their face and try to style. That ain't me. Because we can put the ball down and go in the back and, best man win. I don't have a problem with that. But he didn't understand that because he thought I'm supposed to back down like everybody else, but that wasn't me. And so I'm trying to think, when they came to New Jersey, when I was a starter, I gave him a triple-double. And after the game, I said, wait until I come to Chicago. I told him, wait till I come to Chicago, watch what I do. And so he like, he said, who is this B? Think he talking to? I said, I can show you better than I can tell you. So that's how that started. So then we go to Chicago, he throws a cheap shot. And so I'm like, oh, so I threw the ball at him. But as I threw the ball and he rushed, all I'm thinking is, I'm gonna take off first. You're not gonna hit me, I'm gonna hit you first. And so that's how that built up. And so every time we played after that over the years, it was just a constant battle. And then when he retired and came back to the Garden, I think that's a game he had 55.
Yeah.
And I told Jeff, and Jeff, I hope you watch this. I hope you watching this, Jeff Van Gundy. God dang it. I said, Jeff, start me off on MJ. Now John got it. I said, don't do that. John gonna be too hyped. I know how to start. He wouldn't do it. True story. So MJ gets hot. He get 35 in the first half. Man, the second half, Jeff come to me, all right, Chris, you got him. I say, bullshit. As soon as the game, I said, hey, nah, as soon as the game, second half started, I went out there and fouled him 6 straight times. I was like, man, you ain't about to have me get 55 tonight. That ain't on my watch. I went and sat down. I'm like, nah, man, because I know, see, the thing is, you can't stop any NBA player offense or defense. All you can do is limit them and try to push them away from their comfort zone. See, Michael wasn't stronger than me, but if he got close to the basket, his athletic ability, he'll just jump over me and shoot the shot. So I had to force him out of his comfort zone. And I can do that because I was strong enough. But once a player gets hot, there's nothing you can do but hope and pray.
Right.
That's, you know what I mean? I don't care who they talk about. They talk about all these defensive stoppers like the Kobe stopper, Ruben Patterson, and all these cats. Man, you can't stop a great NBA player, bro. You can try to limit him. You can try to pray to the heavens above that he missed, but you cannot stop an NBA player. It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. That had to be some fun battles, man, that you guys with the Bulls, the Knicks and the Bulls, because it seemed like it was always a heated and hated rivalry. So I'm sure you definitely had some fun times, going to Chicago and the Bulls coming to the Garden.
Right. Well, they had our number.
Mm-hmm.
They had our number. We beat them, like, I think the year that I really think that we would have won the championship was in '97.
Is that the year we had to miss? Charles Smith. When Charles Smith, that was, what year was that?
That was the year that PJ and Charlie Ward.
Okay, all right. When he missed the bunnies, I guess they blocked it. Horace Grant.
Yeah, that was '96.
Okay.
But '97 was the year that we was up on Miami 3-1. And it was towards the end of the game. And that's when they got into it, when he flipped Charlie. And so, because we had been dominating Miami, we had beat Chicago 3-1 in the regular season. And that year we was loaded. We was ready. Patrick was healthy. LJ was still healthy. Allen was giving people the business. We was right. We had a really good team that year. And John was 6th man of the year that year. And so, we was ready. And then that happened. And MJ and I even talked about that years later after retirement. We were in Miami. I was living in Miami at the time, and Oak called me and said he was in town and with Mike, and they wanted to play golf. So we played golf and went to dinner and talked about it. And I told him, I said, yeah, man, we'd have beat y'all that year, bro. We would beat y'all.
Yeah. Now, real quick, man, I just want to bring up this point, and I'm sure you get asked about this a lot, man. In terms of the situation with Kobe out at the Staples Center, what was that? Just a heat of the moment during the game type of thing, or was there any type of bad blood brewing between you guys and the Lakers?
First and foremost, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in power. Yeah, I've been talking about this a lot, man. It never gets easy for me because he's a brother, regardless that we play against each other or not. But yeah, it wasn't because Shaq and I was cool. We hung out a lot, so it wasn't anything, heated or whatever. It's just that you get cross-matched sometimes. So, for instance, Allen would shoot the ball. Point guard responsibility is get back. So Kobe might challenge and take off. So I got to, retreat and take Kobe. And I'll tell Allen, hey, get mine. Whether it's Nick Van Exel or Derek Fisher, pick them up, get mine, I got yours. And so as we running down and he's trying to cross under the basket, my job is to lock in and, keep him from getting into a spot. So a couple of times I kind of, bumped him and got physical. He'd shoot me an elbow. I'm like, okay, not a problem. Young fella, keep him below the shoulders. What you gonna do? I'm like, man, here we go. All right. So, boom, another time, shot go up. I got a sprint back, he coming down again. Shoot me with another chicken wing. So I know this like it's yesterday. I look at Monty McCutcheon, who was a ref. I say, hey, Monty, because Monty was in the CBA when I was there. I say, hey, man, you go do something about this? He puts his hands out, the hands out emoji. I'm like, okay, I got it. So as we go back around, I said, hey, man, I already told you, keep your hands down or I'm going to take off on you. And so that's as we walked up to each other. And, I'm only 6'3", Kobe's 6'5", 6'6". So, I got to stay in close. You know what I mean? And so he walked up. And so I just wanted to see, I gave him a little head nudge. He shot me with another little chicken wing. I'm like, okay, that's the third chicken wing. Now I got to give you the 2-piece with the biscuit. And that's how it was back then, man.
Right.
That was the game. You can't let anyone intimidate you or, punk you out, or if you allow that, then it's going to be everybody's going to try it. Kobe and I never had any issues. We squashed it, but I still have regrets that I didn't sit down with him man to man, because we went through people. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, hey, man, I'm going to be in LA. Let's go out to dinner. I want to talk about something. You know what I mean? I never did that. He didn't. And that was a regret of mine when that happened with him. I'm still not over it, but if it wasn't for the kids that I trained I had about 18 kids at the time training them when the news broke. And if it wasn't for them there to hug me and, give me their support, it would have took me a long time to get over that. But I got strong people in my corner. I got a couple of pastors that I talk to on a daily basis. And when I have moments where I think about him and, I have to go in the corner or separate myself to go ahead and let out what I need to let out, they bring me back in and let me know that, he's still looking down, and he forgave me back then, but he sees what I'm doing with these kids and keeping, a lot of things that he was implementing in his life going, and I'm trying to do the same to not only represent myself and my family and my father, who instilled certain qualities in me, but I'm not too big to take something that somebody else is doing and try to instill it in my life. And that's what Kobe has meant to me.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. Chris, I got about 2 more points I want to get. I want to get to real quick, man. We're gonna have to do a part 2, man, because there's so much stuff that I want to talk to you about. But listen,
Yeah, no doubt.
what's going on, man? Like, how can the Knicks get back to the Knicks of yesteryear? What's going on up with James Dolan and those guys, man?
Well, let me first off say this. No, real talk. I've done a couple of interviews where I've bashed. I don't really know Dolan.
Okay.
I know him, but I don't know him personally. Because his father was there when I was there. He came towards the end. So with that being said, when Ernie Grunfeld was there and Dave Checketts was there, the ship was ran right, all right? Because you had marquee players, you had guys that were there that understood that there are certain pieces of a puzzle. Some are big, some are small, but it's still a puzzle. You need every piece. The Knicks team now, nobody knows their roles or will accept their roles. There's a lot of talent. For one, the Smith kid. I think he has, I mean, if he's not the new version of Steve France, and I think he can be an excellent point guard, but I don't know if they're teaching him how to play the point guard the right way or they're not. The Frank Ntilikina kid, I like his game. I don't think he's a starting point guard, but he can play the same way as the kid down in Oklahoma City. The dude that had the blonde in his hair sometimes, little point guard. I think he can be the same type of player, but a bigger defender that can play multiple positions. I like Robinson, the center. But he needs help because he doesn't have the bulk, and if you play an 82-game season, he'll wear down. So you need a bigger center that can come in and he can play the 4 sometimes. I don't know what's going on with Knox. He needs to be more consistent of a shooter. But they have a lot of time. And then I forget, the new version of Jalen Rose, kid out of Duke. What's his name? Barnett. What's his name?
Barrett.
Barrett, yeah, Jalen Rose.
Yeah.
Jalen Rose protege, plays like Jalen, but I mean, he still has he has an upside, but he still needs to learn how to take over games, when to take over games. So they just got to implement the right people, put the right people in place, the right people who are making decisions, and have someone on the coaching staff that when these guys aren't playing the games, that they're in the gym all day learning how to play their positions. Because it just seems like they just take each and every game, they just throw the ball out there and say play.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work in the NBA. So they just have to find a strategy of how they're going to play each and every night. And I just, I hope, man, because I miss the Garden rocking. I miss, teams coming in there and they feared coming to the Garden.
Yeah.
They don't fear, and the team has to put fear in them, not the fans. The fans are going to help you, the home team, put fear in there, but the players themselves have to let guys know, and y'all flew all the way over here for nothing because we getting ready to get y'all the business. So hopefully it could turn around, but I'm optimistic because I'm a Knick. I played with Toronto, New Jersey. I love those teams. I love the city of Toronto, but I'm a Knick till I die, man.
Knick at heart. I want it real quick, man. Chucky Brown. That's my guy, man. I spoke to Chucky, man, and I got to get this story out to you real quick. The Japan Classic, man. I guess you guys was your senior year in college, You guys were
Yeah. What did you say? We was in Japan?
yeah, the Japan class.
We was in Japan?
Yeah. He said something about you and a guard from Nevada, Reno named Daryl or something.
Yeah.
He said he gave me a little story.
With the cab ride?
Yeah, with the cab ride. I don't want to tell the whole story. I just wanted you to know that Chucky wanted me to ask you if you remember.
Nah, go ahead. You go ahead, tell it. Hey, it happened.
Nah, it's just, Chucky said you tell the story.
Well, I gotta remember. I know we went out one night. We went out and we was at a club and we was partying and we got in the cab to go back to the hotel and we were just still, young men. And I think we ditched the cab. We jumped out.
Yeah, that's
and he chased us with a machete or something. And we hid in the bushes and we heard the machete. He was looking for us. We could hear the machete scraping on the sidewalk. And we was hiding in the bushes. I mean, it's been so long. What did Chuck say?
Hey, exactly what you just said.
Yeah, man. That's
yeah, Chuck. He gave me that story, man. He said, You
still there?
Yeah, you. I think you hit the mute button, but yeah, that's the story that he.
No. Penny Hardaway just called me. I gotta call him back, but I'll call him in a minute. But yeah, man, it was wild, man, over there. It was Tim Hardaway was there, me, Chucky Brown, Cliff Robinson, rest in peace. Oh man, it was so many. Dana Barrows. Oh man, it was so many cats over there, man, and me and Chuck. Chuck always had that backpack on, man. I'm like, Chuck, what you got in the backpack, man? He's, oh man, I don't like leaving all my nice stuff in the hotel. Somebody might steal it. Come to find out, all he had was underwear. He ain't like leaving his underwear in the hotel room, man. Chuck B, you better stop, man.
Hey,
that's my boy, man.
Yeah, and he told me to tell you that you can't guard him in the post. He just wanted me to let you know that you can't guard him in the post.
Now if he said that, why would he bring that up? Because he know I can guard him in the post. Come on, Chuck, you was too light down there, baby.
Yeah, man, that was a good story, man. But hey, Chris, I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. We definitely got to do a part 2, man. Is there anything you wanna leave with the people, man? Any encouraging words, especially with everything that's going on today with the George Floyd situation and Breonna Taylor? Anything that you can leave us with?
I'm sorry, I was getting a call at the same time. Can you repeat what you said?
I said, I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. We definitely got to do a part 2, man. But in parting, is there anything you wanna say to the people, man? Especially with everything that's going on in the world today with the Breonna Taylor, the George Floyd situation, especially with professional athletes. All of a sudden, well, I'm not gonna say all of a sudden, but more professional athletes are speaking out now. Anything you want to say in parting in regards to that?
All I can really say to that, man, is that we have always been the people of challenges. We've always been the people having to prove ourselves. We've always been the people having to define ourselves. The only way we can do any of those 3 things is to stay together, pull together, and vote. We can't forget, because it's too many times that we experience things like this and it'll be relevant for 3 months, 4 months. This needs to be relevant every day of our lives, because we all have brothers, sisters, kids, nephews, uncles, aunts, mothers, and fathers. So this needs to be relevant every day. And we should never question our integrity, our blackness, our color, our desires. There's too many times that we get put in situations where we have to always take the back seat and be the bigger person. But enough is enough. I know I'm tired of being a bigger person. Because we always have to do that. Why can't they be the bigger person? Why can't people of other races be the bigger person? We always have to be the bigger person. We're the ones that have been executed for 400 plus years. We're the ones that have been assassinated for 400 plus years. We're the ones that have been spit on, dog sicked on, water shot on, hung, all these different things. And now we have to revisit that with the person that's supposed to be helping us be a better country. So we can't look up to that. So we have to look up to each other. Never forget, always remember. And as people of color, black people, we have to stick together and we have to vote. We can't just talk about voting. We have to get people in office that's going to have our best interests at heart. And if you don't vote, then you're worse than them. So that's all I have to say about it. Let's continue to strive to be better every day as human beings. But also, I'm tired of being a bigger person.
All right, man. Again, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I know you do a lot in the community for the homeless, man. I'm gonna get with you this weekend. I appreciate you. I got to get you back on the show, man. I want to try to get you, Kenny Anderson, and Chucky together, so we can so we can chop it up about some other things. But again, man, thank you, and I'll be talking to you soon.
No problem, my brother. I appreciate it, man. We'll talk.
All right, Sports Talk with PlayerAgent3.